Jai Shri Ram. My parable for today. Some folks left home because assume there were 100 people in that huge giant family. 2 or 3 of them treated them shabbily, badly, humiliated them, insulted them. And these folks mistakenly thought that all were ganged up in this act of humiliating them, alienating them, marginalizing them. Unfortunately, the others were so busy living their lives, and life is not a bed of roses, we all know that. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Krishna says life is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. And then Krishna also says, Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajarshayastada anithyam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. Krishna also describes life as anithyam asukham lokam. So, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Dukkhalayam, the abode of sorrows, and this is transient, transitory, fugitive, fugacious, evanescent, ephemeral, momentary, passing. Nothing is permanent here. Nothing is enduring, nothing is abiding, nothing is eternal. Only your Atma is. So, Krishna says, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. He describes life as that. And then he also says, Anityam asukham lokam. Anityam. It is fugitive. Asukham. Again, the same thing. See, great teachers teach the same thing repeatedly so that it gets into you. It becomes part of your nature. Because perfection is not very difficult. You can achieve perfection. All it takes is a little wisdom. Anityam asukham lokam. Anityam asukham lokam. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. The same thing. Anityam asukham lokam. Imam prapya bhajasvamam. Therefore, Krishna says, once you have landed in this anityam asukham lokam, seek me, join me, worship me, be with me, be my friend. You have always been my friend. Even if you abandon me, I will not abandon you. That's Krishna for you. Now, unfortunately, these folks, the others were busy suffering quietly the miseries that life heaps on all of us. Life is the ultimate university of hard knocks. So now, you see, in this joint family of 100 people, some 2 or 3 people shabbily treated shabbily some folks. Now, these some folks also let us include. Now, you can work out the parable later. Don't get into the nitty-gritty and question me on the numbers and all that. Within that 100, you can take about 5 people who felt that they were shabbily treated, because they noticed some 2 or 3 people actually shabbily treated them. So, that becomes 8. And the remaining 92 seemed not to bother. Because why? My reasoning is they were so busy, embroiled in life, and out of that 92 I will mark out 5 more who were great teachers, who were spreading the message of the Bhagavad Gita, but nobody was listening. Nobody was listening. To use a metaphor, it is like a fart in a storm. Life is a shit storm, somebody said, and art is the only umbrella. Life is a shit storm and art is the only umbrella. Mario Vargas Lola, he said that. Now, so others are busy because shielding themselves from this shit storm. And out of them, 5 of them were busy trying to preach the message of the Gita, but nobody is listening. It's like a fart in a gale. Like a fart in a gale, like a fart in a thunderstorm. No effect. So, now you remove the 5 out of that 92, so it became 87. Now, the other 87 are so busy, what is that idiom? Rolling with the punches. Rolling with the punches means taking the full blast of all the events that take place, all the repercussions, negative things that happen, but somehow, trying to cope with it and coming back to life and somehow adapting and going on. It's a lovely idiom, rolling with the punches. Now, look at this whole scenario. So, these 3 people felt that the whole lot is ganged up against them. And they never read the scriptures also of this particular group of people. The whole group of people subscribed to a particular group of scriptures. These three people never read, just as the 87 never read. Only a 5 read. The 3 who were treating them shabbily never read. So out of the 100, only 5 read. Now, have not read the scriptures, they have not read the spiritual sentiment, but have now jumped to the conclusion that not only all these people are evil, diabolical, sinister, nefarious, nefandous, they are out to humiliate, destroy, marginalize, alienate, and all that. Not only that, and all these scriptures are also disgustingly reprehensible. And how did they arrive at this conclusion? Well, you can give them a little leeway. They have heard of or maybe read in many rags and so-called journalist plus dinosaur, journosaurus. So many journosaurus are available, and pseudo-intellectuals are available, distorians are available who have distorted history, and fake individuals, fake human beings, and then pseudo-intellectuals. I have already listed them: Librandus, Macaulay Putras, and the apologists of the desert cults, Panchamakkar. That's another wonderful term Sanjay Dikshit ji coined. So the Panchamakkars are also busy churning out a lot of atrocity literature, because they have realized that they cannot defend their despicable, detestable, unholy books. Therefore, they decided the best thing to do is to mudsling on the others. So, once you pull the others down into the gutter, so in the hammam sab nange hain, so that is some kind of a consolation for these rascals. So, this whole vicious, toxic ecosystem has created this delusion in the minds of these unfortunate victims that even the scriptures of my original parent cultural religious group is utterly reprehensible. They have not read that. Now this is the situation. So my emotion for these people is pity. Now what has happened with these people? Please understand. They have now taken abode, they have taken residence in another edifice, another building, in the desert cult edifice, DCE. There are 2 big desert cult edifices in which they have taken abode. And these people have been allowed to enter and reside in the basement, or sometimes in the outhouse, or something like that. And they have been love bombed. Love bombing, as you know, when new converts, when you are trying to create new converts, when you are trying to proselytize, a lot of love bombing is done, so that that fellow gets overwhelmed with this love which he never received. Unfortunately, sad situation. The plight and predicament of this fellow is really bad. Anyway, because Dukhalaya Mashashvatam, the others were not having any malified intention, but for this fellow it appeared that all of them are malified. So now this fellow gets a shower of love bombed. They get fully love bombed, and then they think the grass is greener on the other side. So they have gone there. Now they are living in the basement. That is the worst accommodation available, have been given. And the members, the cultists of the desert cult group, actually secretly laugh behind these fellows' backs, because they know that these are useful idiots. They are the useful idiots. They know that they for some reason don't want to get out of that shithole, but they have now invited, love bombed these fellows and got them into that building, and these poor chaps are living there, and mistakenly thinking that they are actually being loved and respected, while actually they are referred to with many disgusting slurs, which I don't want to list because you already understood the whole story. So a lot of wretched slurs are used to refer to these victims, gullible people who have become victims of this whole fraud, the colossal fraud. The biggest frauds are these two desert cults. There is no other fraud that can match this fraud. So finally, our unfortunate, hapless victims have fallen prey to this colossal fraud, and they have got in there. They got heavily love bombed, and they are now laboring under the delusion that they have somehow got an equal status with others. They always had an equal status in the earlier, what would we want to call it? In the earlier scenario. In the earlier dispensation, they were never actually considered inferior, because there was no such no concept of inferiority didn't exist, never existed, even now it doesn't exist in the earlier dispensation. But unfortunately, these people had no idea. Now they are packed in that shithole, and they are secretly thought of as idiots. And those desert cultists who live in that building enjoy their lives by legitimizing every immorality, every crime, every atrocity, enormity against the outsiders. And these people think that they are now insiders. No, they are still outsiders. They are still outsiders, but continue to be heavily love bombed, and they are used as cannon fodder. In the war of civilization, these people are the cannon fodder, and behind their backs, they are laughed upon as useful idiots. And if someday they speak against them, they will be slaughtered, they will be wiped out, they will be finished. And if in any way they whistle blow, then they will be called out. If they become whistleblowers, they will be called out. Then they will say, no, these people don't understand anything, they are not insiders, they are not group members. These people have never read our books, our culture, they don't understand, they are ignorant fools. So we don't subscribe to what this fellow is saying. Actually, now our victims have gently woken up, but then this is how they are treated. These whistleblowers are treated as persona non grata, undesirable person. Then actually the people of the earlier dispensation have realized so much history, so much water has flowed, so much history has flowed. The others have now realized the folly that in spite of all the difficulties that life flings at you, you should have some concern for the other members of the group who perhaps don't have that intellectual understanding to understand and intuit the quintessence of the scriptures and the lofty goals that actually inspire their life. Fortunately, someday this group of victims will perhaps come back and rejoin their earlier. So that is like the prodigal son coming back. सुबह का भूला हुआ अगर शाम को घर वापस आता है, उसे भूला हुआ नहीं कहते हैं. Jai Shri Ram. I hope you enjoyed my new parable.